Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2021 Aston Martin DBX. Now this has been in production since July 2020, and yeah, it's Aston Martin's first ever SUV crossover, their first mass production all-wheel drive car, and yeah, it's their first proper look at making a car that is more family friendly as well, I guess you could say. Although obviously we did have the Aston Martin Rapide, but yeah, this can seat 5 people, whereas that could only seat 4, and definitely has more in the way of a storage capacity. So yeah, it's got swan hinge doors, the largest grille ever fitted to an Aston Martin. It's got bonded aluminium panels to help keep the weight down. It's got a 9-speed automatic gearbox, an active centre transfer case, so torque and power can be transferred to the front wheels if necessary, if grip is limited for some reason at the rear. It's got a limited slip differential, adaptive dampers, and triple chamber air springs which are able to adjust the height of the car. So if you need to go off-road, for instance, you can raise the height of the car, because yeah, as you can see in its more standard setting, it is far from the tallest of SUVs. But yeah, on the whole, I think it looks fairly decent, considering they've had to make it look like an Aston Martin sports car while also being a much larger vehicle in terms of its shape, owing to it being an SUV. So yeah, on the whole, I think it looks pretty good. Certainly better than the likes of a KN, for instance. And yeah, the swan hinge doors are at the rear there, as you can see. They're differently hinged to the front doors, and yeah, typical for an Aston Martin. It's really rather nice and luxurious on the inside, although it's kind of festooned in buttons, so I wasn't expecting that, and certainly wasn't expecting the gear select to be at the top there. But yeah, it's still well accustomed in terms of all the luxury and the gadgets and everything that you'd expect. And yeah, space in the rear is decent enough as well. Again, nice and lots of leather and aluminium and the like, so it's a nice place to at least be inside of, as you can see. And yeah, plenty of boot space as well, easily the biggest boot you're going to ever find on an Aston Martin as out of their current range, because it's absolutely cavernous, as you can see. And it looks like it's also able to slide out the rear as well, like we've seen on some Mercedes-Benz estate cars in the past. So yeah, and speaking of Mercedes-Benz, this is a car that shares an engine with a Mercedes-Benz, as this has their 4-litre twin turbocharged V8 engine, producing 543 horsepower and 516 pounds-feet of torque, which is a decent amount, but considering this car weighs 4,949 pounds, despite their best attempts to keep the weight down, that is not quite enough as far as I'm concerned. I would have at least expected around 600, and it's not like Aston Martin can't get 600 horsepower out of their cars nowadays. So yeah, definitely would have liked a lot more in the way of power than that, given the immense weight and the fact it's not going to be as aerodynamic as other Aston Martin vehicles. But nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. So despite all of that weight, with more than 500 horsepower, this is hardly going to be a slouch. So let's see what it can do in terms of acceleration before we hit the speed camera, and then we'll hoon it around the track and maybe off-road as well, who knows. But let's at least get to the speed camera first. So yeah, revs nice and high, the engine on this, 7,000 RPM, which is nice to see. And yeah, it's far from the worst sounding turbocharged V8 engine going, so at least has that going for it. But yeah, as you can see, not a fast car at all, 126 miles an hour, which is not particularly great. I think we'll go off-road first though before we hit the track. But yeah, still would have liked, yeah, definitely more in the way of power if you're not going to get it down in terms of weight, because Jaguar have shown with the F-Pace that you can have a reasonably lightweight off-roader that weighs about 700 pounds less than this. So if you weren't going to put more power into it, which I can understand, emissions and the like, then at least make it weigh not as much, and they just haven't been able to manage that either. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame. But in terms of off-road capability, even with it being a standard ride height, as you can see, it's more than capable of dealing with the rough stuff. Granted, this isn't particularly tough, but the all-wheel drive system is working nicely with the chassis and the suspension there. So yeah, pretty decent in terms of off-road capability, but obviously this is an Aston Martin, so it should also be pretty good on the track as well. So yeah, let's see what it can do. Now, it does have an electronic system in this to help control body roll, because obviously that's a big problem when it comes to SUVs. They're easily able to roll around a fair bit, especially when they're made to go off-road. So yeah, and to be honest, I feel like the body roll has been mostly dealt with, to be honest. So yeah, but let's get out onto the track and see if that's the case. And yeah, see if this can feel faster on the track than it can in a straight line. So yeah, we'll take a look at the stats first though. So yeah, mid A class or thereabouts. And yeah, the top speed, the launch, and the handling and braking are all on the average to, you know, decent side. So it's really the acceleration that could definitely be a lot better. And despite being an SUV, the off-road capability isn't particularly great, as you can see in terms of the stats. But highly doubt you're going to challenge it that much on this game, quite frankly. So yeah, yeah, let's get onto the track, see what it can do. We'll listen to the engine first for a little bit, and then we'll talk about it some more, as per usual. So let's see what it sounds like. So yeah, like I said, not the best sounding V8 engine going, but outside as far as twin turbocharged engines go, you know, you could do a lot worse. It's just a shame it doesn't quite have the theatrical noise of previous Aston Martin engines with their V12s or even their V8 in the Aston Martin Vantage for the 90s. But yeah, still, acceleration wise it's fairly decent. 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds, 0 to 100 in 10.583 seconds, and it going to a top speed of 178. So hardly class leading, but yeah, you could definitely do a lot worse than that. And yeah, the handling is fairly good as well, to be honest. It's probably one of the best parts of this car is the fact it's able to control its weight fairly well. And yeah, the brakes are pretty effective, especially when you consider the amount of momentum that this is going to have when trying to slow down. So yeah, as a sports SUV, because you know that's part of sport in the SUV acronym, sports utility vehicle, as part of that sports aspect, it's pretty good. As yeah, like I said, it's able to control its body roll, it stops fairly effectively, and yeah, it's got a decent amount of turning as well. There's not much in the way of understeer despite this being an all-wheel drive car. Utility-wise, well, it's not the greatest off-road, as we've seen by the stat, but in terms of, you know, being able to carry a lot of people and a lot of things, and you know, obviously you don't have 7 seats in this, but you know, you're still able to get 4 passengers in this with ease. And yeah, there's plenty of space in the back as well. So yeah, on the whole, obviously I would prefer an Aston Martin, you know, sports car that we've never had before. But as far as SUVs go from manufacturers that generally don't do these kind of things, you could do a hell of a lot worse. No, it's not my favourite. I certainly prefer the Alfa Romeo with that 500 horsepower V6. And yeah, I think maybe Volvo in terms of, you know, your everyday kind of car with the XC90 is probably better as well. But on the whole, fairly solid effort from Aston Martin. And as far as first efforts go in a kind of car class that they've never done before, they've done a pretty bang up job of it. And yeah, I feel like they've probably done a better job than they did with their Lagonda saloon car in the 70s in terms of first time, you know, class car. Because yeah, that was pretty useless, a saloon car, to be honest, but this is nowhere near as useless. And yeah, on the whole, I see this being a successful car for Aston Martin, which at the end of the day is why they're doing it, because it's going to provide a lot of money, and hopefully therefore will provide more money for, you know, their more luxurious and sporty cars. But yeah, regardless, this is part of the car pass. It's the third to last vehicle in the car pass, so yeah, we've only got 2 more cars to look forward to in that car pass, so which is a little bit of a shame. I would have liked it to go on even longer because the car pass has been excellent overall. This is far from my favourite out of that car pass, but yeah, can definitely do a lot worse, and at least it is a brand new car to the Forza series. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.